books, a lot of us have them, some in great quantities actually, but you might not use all of them or enjoy all of them. So here I'm going to tell you why I sold half of mine, how I did it, and why you should consider it too. I used to have these big shelves covering a whole wall, which made putting the furniture in the room actually a bit tricky. And I filled them with my books, with books that people gave me, and with other random stuff that I just stored in there. That being said, only a small portion of the books stored there I either had read, was going to read, or was going to read again. So something had to be done. So let's go over the reasons why I sold my books. The first reason is actually space. It makes a lot of sense, but less books are easier to store, easier to manage, easier to move around from place to place. You're a lot more flexible in how you can store them. You can have different shelves in different places of the house. They don't take that much visual space. They make moving furniture a lot more flexible. It also doesn't really make life that hard in smaller apartments that I know a lot of people are living. So do I. It's a lot easier to have a couple of shelves in a corner or a bigger one just laid down than something that takes up a whole wall, making that space pretty unusable. Also, lastly, if you like organizing your collection, I guess, it's a lot easier to do so. You can have smaller compartments to, say, put them on series or by authors, by language, or whatever your categories are. The second reason is you actually end up reading more, or at least it's easier for you to find things to read. Firstly, you don't really have that overwhelming sensation when you look at the whole shelf of unread books and you don't know which one to pick. Inside of you, you know that a lot of them you are never going to read, or at least not in the foreseeable future. So if you get rid of them, you just see the books that you want to read. It makes it a lot easier to pick one up and start reading. Also, if you do this, it's a lot easier to actually catalog your books. Related to the last point, catalog your books and put away those that you have read but don't really want to see, the collections that you're maybe emotionally attached to but don't really need to see on a regular basis. It makes it a lot easier for you to just put them in a box or somewhere else and get on with reading other things. Also, in general, there's less pressure. There's a lot of emotions that come with having a big library. Maybe you're proud that you've read some of them. Maybe you're a bit ashamed that you haven't read most of them. And if you just get rid of a lot of books, those emotions tend to disappear. It becomes something much more practical. Now, actually, another reason is mental clarity. I know it sounds cheesy, but not having a great number of books to overwhelm you actually helps. Especially if you're not proud that you own that many books. Maybe you're not proud of not reading them. So it really helps to just have a shorter amount of books, narrow down to the books that you do like, that you do enjoy. So those positive emotions that actually helps boost your mood, not lower it. An example is books from childhood. No, not the ones that you actually enjoy or that remind you of the pleasant days, but the ones that you don't really care about. I know a lot of you still have them, so getting rid of the so-and-so books from childhood can really help in both space and mental clarity. Also, by letting go of your books, it actually feels like letting go of baggage. I know there's a big decluttering trend on the internet, and it might sound something like that because it is. It's actually a great feeling to just let go of stuff in general. I'm not someone who has a great amount of stuff. I never have, and I don't plan of having any sort of big collections or unnecessary stuff around me in the future, but I do know that getting rid of unnecessary stuff you no longer need or enjoy does feel great. My last reason is that it actually helps other people too. So if you are selling or giving away your books, not throwing them, which I don't encourage, actually other people are benefiting from this. There are books that you might have that are hard to find. I searched a lot for a book that is out of print for a few years now, and the only place I found it was this second-hand bookstore, which is also the store that I sold my books to. And if you do that and maybe inspire some other people to do it too, you will in turn benefit, because you will be able to find books that you are interested in that aren't in print right now. Just like I was able to find the Nico McHagel Ethics, the book that I just talked about. So the selling books and giving them away not only benefits you, but other people. As a side note here, I don't really recommend just giving away your library to a relative. That's actually something that happened to me. I was given a lot of books and I decided to keep a lot of them, but never really got to reading more than 1 or 2 out of 50 to 100 books that I was given. Now, you might be wondering, how do I actually go on with selling my books? What should I sell? What should I keep? Other than listening to your first feeling, I have a few more tips. So from the things you have read, stuff from long ago that's not maybe relevant to you anymore, stuff like generic fantasy novels or storybooks, things that aren't that high quality, or textbooks and other books that aren't that relevant to you in the moment and you're not going to read again. Going on with books you haven't read. Should you sell those? I think some of them you should. So books that no longer interest you. Maybe you went through a fantasy stage in your life and you bought lots of books. If those genres don't interest you anymore, why keep them? The same goes for books you haven't read, and even though you'd like to dream that someday you'll read, you know you won't. For me, this was the Jules Verne collection. I had most of them. I read 2. They were boring. I would have liked to dream to someday read all 40 of them, but that wasn't going to happen. So I just gave them away. Now I want to tackle sentimental reasons for a little. I know those were hard for me and might be hard for a lot of people. If you have books that you really, really like, and even though you're not going to read, you want to keep them, keep them. Maybe put them in a box somewhere or just show them off. If a book meant a lot for you, it has a great sentimental value and brings you joy or brings back nice memories, of course, keep it. If you're in doubt, in my experience, you should probably sell it. But if you're in doubt, you can always think that I'll sell it, I'll feel bad, I can buy it back. Yes, for a greater price, but it's not really that much of a difference. In general, I'd say it's pretty easy to determine from the first glance. That's probably what you're actually feeling. And then comes the mind rationalizing stuff and changing your opinion, stuff like that. But you'll probably know just by looking at the book, should I keep it, should I not? Also, don't stress about it too much. You can always give them away later. Just put them in a bag or somewhere else and go on with other books. So now to end things off, I would like to talk about my experience. It was a pretty straightforward process. I did this mainly for space reasons, but I do see that now I have actually read a few more books than in the past. Maybe it's because I had a little bit more free time, but who knows? And actually the money that came from selling the books, I used to buy other ones that I was more interested in. I had that money and I said, you know what? I'll buy anything that interests me as long as I have the money that came from selling the books. Now, thank you for watching. Subscribe.